Let me click on it, and this application is used to browse the files and folders in your computer, right? So let me double click, it's open. Let me double click here, and first let's open up, let's see the file type. It's Photoshop document, right? PSD file. So let's open it up. Before that, let's close this. Then now let's open. The layers are still here. I can always make any changes I want, right? Can delete or undo. I can delete and again save this, right? I can go ahead and save, and yes, overwrite, replace it, click OK. Now let me close this and let me come back to the bridge. Let me open the JPEG image, and if I make any changes, you see what happened, right? So make sure you always have a copy of any changes you make in the PSD format. Let us close this now, and let's go there and just delete them. Alright, now let's go ahead with the second tool, that is the lasso tool. When I move the cursor here and then right click, I get three different options. The first one is lasso tool, which is used to make a freehand selection. Again, lasso tool is also used to make selections similar to the marquee tools, right? So let me select lasso tool and let me open up the Adobe Bridge and select an image. Let me maximize it. Lasso tool is used to make freehand selections. Say for example, I want to delete this particular image. I can always do it by selecting the marquee tool, make a selection and then delete, right? And then deselect. As the background color here is white, and the background color here also is white, so it doesn't make much difference if you go ahead and delete it directly on this background image. There are no layers, right? So let me select the lasso tool. Before that, let me undo. Let me select the lasso tool, and to draw this selection I can press the left button on the mouse and then draw the selection. Say if I want to delete this image right here, you can always draw a selection and make a selection here too. And to complete the selection, just come back to the starting point and then release the button, and then I can delete by pressing the delete key. Let me undo, or I can fill the color if I want, foreground color, and click OK. The color is filled. Or I can undo. Let me undo and then give some feathers, 10, and then I can always come back and fill the color by pressing Alt and backspace and deselect, right? It's just to make a freehand selection, and then delete. And again, let me delete this here and deselect. Alright, and this is how the lasso tool is used. Let's move on with the polygonal lasso tool. It's a bit different from the lasso tool, but it's also used to make selections. Alright, let me select this tool. Let me close this image, and then let me open up the Adobe Bridge and then select this image here, the iPhone. Let me maximize it. Now to make a selection using the polygonal lasso tool, let me zoom in a little. I can do is click here once, release the mouse, release the button, again come down here, click again to make a selection, again come back here, drag, click to make a selection, again click here. Let me press the space bar on the keyboard and then make the image. Let me make a selection here. Again, let me select the image here. Let me drag and again click here. And if I want to delete this particular selection here, I can press the delete key and again come back, then select, let me delete, click, and then when I complete this selection, let me come to the starting point. When I come to the starting point, I can see a loop by the cursor, right? Let me click here, the selection is made. Let me zoom out. Right. What I can do is now I can create a new layer and rename it as color, and I can inverse this selection. Let me select the polygonal tool and then select inverse, and then I can always fill in a color. Before I go ahead and fill in a color, I can give some feathers, say 1, click OK. Okay, now let me fill in by selecting fill, foreground color, and click OK. The background color is changed now. Let me deselect. Alright, I can always change the color by making a selection here, and this time to make the selection, instead of undo, let me press the control key on the keyboard and click on this color layer. Click here, the selection is made automatically, and I can always come back and change the color and fill by pressing Alt and backspace and deselect. And I can also press the control key plus U on the keyboard and change the hue, which will change the color. This looks perfect, and let me click OK. And I can also add a text here or an image. Let's go ahead and try adding an image. Let me open Adobe Bridge. Let me open this link image which I've already created. Let me minimize this. Let me select this move tool, click here, drag and drop. As this is a PNG image, it's in a format of PNG, what I can do is I can press Ctrl A, which would select all, Ctrl C, which would copy, or I can always right click. I don't think right click works here. Let's just press Ctrl C, copy, come back to this image, open it up, and Ctrl V, which is for paste. Right, now this image is pretty big. I can always resize it by pressing the control key on the keyboard and T